will weigh in just days away from a decision on whether to hold a public inquiry. First, though, federal provincial finger-pointing continues at this hour as a $5 billion electric vehicle battery plant and 2,500 jobs hang in the balance. Stellantis is already building a big plant in Windsor, Ontario. When it was announced last year, it was the biggest auto investment in Canadian history and came with support from the federal and provincial governments. But since then, Volkswagen secured massive government subsidies to the tune of $13 billion for its own vehicle battery plant in St. Thomas, Ontario. Why the difference? Well, south of the border, U.S. President Joe Biden is offering huge business subsidies, and Canada has to fork up cash to compete. Stellantis now wants a piece of that pie. This week, the company halted most construction, saying the feds aren't living up to their end of the bargain. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland says it's Ontario that needs to pay, quote, its share.
The way to ensure that the federal government's industrial policy delivers for the whole country is to ensure that provinces that are getting the direct benefit pay their share.
Now, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford insists he doesn't even know what the feds think a fair share would mean for Ontario. He is, however, under pressure from his own opposition to get a deal done.
Will the Premier tell my community what specifically he'll do to support Windsor workers and ensure the Stellantis investment isn't lost? Will he step up?
We're the ones who created the deal. We're going to make sure that deal happens on top of the $25 billion of other deals, no matter if it's a battery manufacturer or an auto manufacturer. The member voted against it. They're anti-development, anti-housing, anti-building highways. They're anti-building hospitals. Voted against the hospital in Windsor that we're building. This is about no. I think the cheese has slipped off the cracker with that member.
Stellantis is also talking tonight, issuing a new statement saying, in part, they want the Canadian government to honor an agreement made in February. Quote, this uncertainty is unfair to our Canadian employees as well as towards Stellantis. So what's the cost of this political finger-pointing? With me this evening to discuss that, Flavio Volpe, president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, and Brian Kingston, president and CEO of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association. Hello to both of you. Thanks very much for making the time. Let's rewind first for a second. Flavio, I'll start with you. Are you surprised at the level of finger-pointing going on right now?
A little bit. I mean, these two governments on two ends of the political spectrum have worked really closely together on incredible run that the Premier talked about, and then Minister Champagne talked about a lot. $25 billion in new investments over the last couple of years. I think what we're seeing, Vassy, is some of the conversations that may normally happen privately that are just happening publicly. And, like I've said before, this is a little bit like sausage making. It's not pretty, and it really shouldn't be done in public. But we are here. I will say that they both sound like they're committed to Windsor. And so is Stellantis. I think there is a path forward here. I've been confident that we're going to close this deal. But this is, especially in this very close relationship, unprecedented local public finger-pointing.
Yeah, that sausage making, Brian, that Flavio has referred to, and I've talked a bit about it on the show. I get that there's a back and forth going on, given the size of the response that the IRA necessitates from Canada, right? What I'm confused about is why it's happening after the fact with Stellantis and not, behind closed doors before the next deal with another company's arrived at.
Yeah, I'm equally confused. These conversations have been going on for months. We knew that the moment the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act was tabled, that Canada was going to have to respond aggressively. And to the federal government's credit, to the provincial government's credit, they've been working hand in hand to win new investment, well in excess of $20 billion. We're seeing a real resurgence of automotive investment here in Canada. So it's very unfortunate that at this stage in the game, where we have a major battery facility under construction, that this has not been resolved. Canada has to compete. They've got to stay aligned with the U.S. Both levels of government have recognized this. We got to get this deal done immediately.
Flavio, can you help characterize for our audience in the greater auto landscape how big of a deal this one in particular is?
We really like this deal because it's 400,000 batteries, which is probably about 5% of the installed capacity that we're going to expect around North America. But Stellantis has been here, and its predecessor companies have been here for 95 years. They make cars in Windsor, and they make cars in Brampton. And this deal kind of secures that bigger footprint, and then also added 650 R&D jobs. So it isn't just a battery plant, which would be significant in and of itself, but it's this whole incredible wider footprint that, in part, informed Washington's decision to go and do this big IRA as a response. I think a lot of people in Washington were very surprised when it landed on the Windsor side, the Windsor side of the Detroit River, and a lot of people this week have been saying, well, Stellantis wants what VW wants. Actually, this has been a longer conversation than the VW conversation. We're eager to see this resolved because there's lots of other investments on the car side and the electric vehicle battery side that are in the air with other manufacturers, and we want to continue this momentum that's been happening in Canada.
Do you think it's accurate, Brian, to say that in order to keep that momentum going, as Flavio describes it, and secure more of these agreements, the federal government, in essence, or governments rather, will have to basically subsidize these companies to the tune of $1 to $2 billion a year, in the case of, in particular, EV battery plants. Is that accurate from where you sit?
That is accurate. When it comes down to it, it's relatively straightforward. We have to match what is in the IRA if you want to secure battery manufacturing in Canada. And this is a unique window of opportunity. We aren't going to have these chances going into the future because right now the industry is going through a transformation to the tune of $1.2 trillion into creating effectively a North American battery supply chain. Canada has traditionally had about 10% of North American automotive production. We have a chance right now to grow that share because we have critical minerals and we have a number of other elements that make Canada attractive for this type of investment. But if we can't compete with the Americans on what they're offering for these investments, we won't be part of the conversation. And that's what this ultimately comes down to.
I think at the same time, Flavio, there are a lot of Canadians who aren't as well versed in the industry as both of you are, who see the amount of money that's required or that's being talked about. And they see the fact that we're handing it over to largely profitable big corporations. And they're wondering exactly what we're going to get in return for it. And this isn't just a little bit of money, right? It's if it's $1 to $2 billion a year or $13 billion total in the case of Volkswagen. It's a lot of money. To those Canadians who are uncomfortable with the idea of that, what do you say to them?
I think context is important. It was interviewed yesterday and someone was arguing me specifically about this benefit potential to Stellantis. And I said, if they make 400,000 batteries a year at $25,000 each, it's $10 billion of new industrial activity on that plant per year. These investments go 10, 20 years. So when Canadians hear those numbers, you've got to understand that a $5 billion contribution in a case like this, and these are hypothetical, is on production. We don't hand that check over in those deals. What we say is, do the production, do that $10 billion a year, and then that increased tax capacity that we get, that's generated from that $10 billion or $20 billion worth of production in the Volkswagen case, then will contribute to you a benefit from that extra tax. In 2010, the Canadian government and the provincial government, two different governments, worked together to write a check of $13 billion, an actual emergency flow of money to General Motors and Chrysler to save them. In that case, it was, hey, by the way, please survive. In this case, it's a carrot. It says, if you do 10, 20 billion a year for the next 20 years, you can get up until the end of the IRA, which will either be 2032 or when the Americans decide they want to stop spending money, you'll get this. But this is how we pay for those hospitals that the Premier talked about and those roads. You need some big industrial generator. If not automotive, what?
Okay, I got to leave it there. I'm out of time tonight. Thank you both for your time. Really appreciate your insights this evening.